The following program contains scenes which may be disturbing to some viewers.
Help! Help! There's two pit bulls.
Female called 911 hysterical, saying she was attacked by two dogs. Apparently the dogs attacked a child.
I never would have imagined in a million years before this that my dog, my pet, would attack me and kill a child.
His face was just gone. I mean, from here down was just mangled.
What kind of dog would attack a child?
A dog that's unstable. And there are dogs of any breed that are unstable. I think they are the most misunderstood breed of dog there is, and they're just dogs, they're not werewolves.
On this edition of The Fifth Estate, Mark Kelly investigates. Should pit bulls be banned? This is a flight to freedom for some 30 dogs that were doomed to die in the U.S. They're getting what you might call a new leash on life here in Canada. These dogs have been flown in from a shelter in Ventura County, California. A dozen of them are pit bull type dogs. Few dogs are as deeply polarizing as the pit bull.
That's a good girl. Thank you, Maggie.
A menace to some, simply misunderstood to others.
Snickers!
And welcomed with open arms in Calgary.
Snickers? Yeah! Look at his big fat head. There you go, Flock. Good job, buddy.
Jerry Hogg is coordinating this mission of mercy for an animal rescue group called Barks.
These are dogs from death row that we're saving at this point. We're not taking dogs out of there that have been shown any interest in adoption. They are now at the point where they've been in their high kill centers for X number of time, and they're on death row, and it's a case of if we don't take them, they're deceased.
And the problem with that is?
It's a dog, it's a life.
So you've got 1,000 dogs and counting. I mean, you're hoping that this is a pipeline that you can keep moving.
Absolutely.
Airlifts like this are supported by a powerful animal rights group. It's just a small part of a multi-million-dollar effort to rebrand the pit bull as a family-friendly dog.
Good luck. Thank you.
The PR campaign is powered by lawyers, lobbyists, even corporate sponsors. In this video from the shoe company Zappos, the Pit Bull Terrier is touted as the perfect family pet. And they're getting some celebrity support. Patrick Stewart has a starring role on the website of one animal rights group. Primetime personality Anderson Cooper is pro-pit too.
You know, he's a diva now.
I really like pit bulls. Everyone's that I've met have been incredibly sweet, and I've actually thought about adopting pit bulls from time to time.
The pit bull's loudest voice, though, is the dog whisperer, TV host and best-selling author Cesar Millan, who posted this on his website.
Why I love pit bulls? Why not? I have a great relationship with pit bulls. I've raised my kids around pit bulls. I haven't had a negative story with a pit bull.
With such ringing endorsements, who could resist adopting one of these dogs? Well, not Susan Owicki.
Before we adopted the puppies, we used to watch Dog Whisperer. All feeds into the whole reason that we were okay with adopting those dogs. Cesar Millan, you know, he was an advocate for the breed, and they were just about that time where you were starting to see more celebrities adopting them, and sure, that absolutely factored into my my trust of pit bulls, yes.
So Susan and her boyfriend adopted two puppies, a mix of American Pit Bull and Staffordshire Terriers.
They were good dogs. I mean, we trained them, we, taught them all the basic commands. They were very willing to learn. They were socialized with plenty of other dogs. Our friends would bring their dogs over, and everything seemed great. My friends' kids would come over and play with the puppies, and they were loved. Those dogs were cuddling with me just before Dax showed up at my house that morning.
Dax is Daxton Borkart. On the morning of March 6, 2013, Susan was babysitting him just as she had many times before. The 14-month-old, the pride and joy of his dad, Jeff.
He was quite the ambitious little guy. He was really funny. He was a curious, happy little guy.
He was the longest he's ever walked.
Whenever, we put the music on and everything, he was always dancing. And he took well to everybody, He wasn't shy. Just always laughing. And I tell you, that day was just, I'll never forget it,
That day, Susan let her dogs out while she stood outside holding Dax, bundled against the cold. Then, within seconds, her dogs went from pets to predators.
They just kept coming at us, and Dax, they pulled him out of my arms, and all I could think was, I don't know what's going on, but I have to protect him. I have to save him. I have to do something. I have to get us out of here. I have to get us out of here. I have to get us out of here. It was just a nightmare.
Help! Help!
What's going on?
Ambulance! Ambulance! Ambulance!
You're being attacked by who?
A dog! Dogs! Dogs! Dogs!
Female called 911, hysterical, saying she was attacked by 2 dogs. Apparently the dogs attacked a child. Where are the dogs? Whose are they, or what do they look like?
They're 2 pit bulls. They're outside. They're outside in the back. So yes, they may encounter them. I don't care what they do to them. They can shoot them. I don't care.
Whose dogs are they?
They're our dogs. My dogs. My dogs. Oh my God. He's still breathing.
The whole time it's happening, you can't believe it's possible.
And you can't stop them.
You start praying and you just keep acting, you just keep reacting, and just keep trying to get him out of that situation.
Jeff Borkart was on a job site when a co-worker got the call. Jeff was told Dax was being taken to hospital. Jeff had no idea how his life was about to change.
And he told me, he says, the dogs bit Dax. He's being transported, the ambulance is there, and they're gonna bring him to Mercy, and so we're gonna meet him there. And, at that point, I was just like, they bit him, it's a dog bite, I was bitten by dogs before. How bad can it be? He'll be fine,
But when Jeff arrived at the hospital, he quickly learned this wasn't just any dog bite.
So they brought me back there, and the nurses were giving him CPR, and I looked down at him, and he was stripped naked. All of his clothes were ripped off. His face was just gone. From here down was just mangled. It was so bad, and just blood everywhere. I was just screaming the whole time, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Oh my God, and My wife was just silent. She didn't say a word. She just sat there, just holding his hand.
Dozens of doctors and nurses did everything they could, but couldn't save Dax. The damage too deep for the broken boy.
14 months is just too young. It's just never got a chance at anything,
This is Detective Craig, videotaping the rear residence of...
The police did a detailed investigation, and though Susan wasn't found to be at fault, both of her dogs were euthanized.
There was nothing she did wrong. She raised them right, she didn't abuse them. You can look in the police reports, it'll say the dogs were in good health, good condition. From all accounts of the neighbors, they were raised really good. They're friendly with other dogs, played with other kids before. They were good-natured dogs until the day they weren't.
Who wants to even admit for a second that their family pet could kill one of their family members? Who wants to, for a single second, think that that's possible? Think that could be a reality? I know I certainly didn't. I never would have imagined in a million years before this that my dog, my pet, would attack me and kill a child.
But as we'll show you, after every death, maiming, or mauling attributed to pit bull type dogs, there's an instant campaign ready to do damage control.
Why do pit bulls need lobbying? Why do they need an organization? Why do they need a network fighting for them?
Well, I think they are the most misunderstood breed of dog there is, and they're just dogs, they're not werewolves.
You count on the Fifth Estate for investigative journalism that matters. The Fifth Estate team often counts on you, the viewers, for tips that lead to some of the best investigations.
I have a story.
We felt uncomfortable.
Very disturbing.
To send your tips, email fifthtips@cbc.ca or go to the show website to find out other ways to get in touch.
Jeff Borkart was never one to rock the boat. His passion? Fishing, not being in the public eye. Well, not until his son was mauled to death by his babysitter's two pit bulls. Incredibly, even before his son's funeral, pit bull owners were attacking him online for being an irresponsible parent and damaging the reputation of their beloved dogs.
So pit bull supporters were attacking you because you were giving pit bulls a bad name.
I was giving pit bulls a bad name. So just by having my son killed by one. Because before I even started anything in the advocacy work, it's almost a religion, I think, to these people. They see their own family dog and they just can't imagine in their wildest dreams that it could turn and kill someone, another family member.
With anger as his motivation and Google as his guide, Borkart set out to make sense of his son's death.
I put a little thing together, some of the...
We should warn you, what's posted online is upsetting. His son wasn't alone. These are pictures posted by parents who say their kids were attacked by pit bulls too. Their message? Your child could be next.
Since my son was killed, there's been 103 Americans killed by pit bulls. Since my son was killed in 2013. 103 just by pit bulls. More than all other breed types combined.
There is often this hysteria about pit bulls.
But there's a counter-campaign trying to wash those pictures from your mind. These images aren't graphic, they're idyllic. This is one of hundreds of videos produced by an influential U.S. animal rights group called Best Friends Animal Society. They're trying to win over the biggest dog market in America, the family. Their message? The pit bull is user-friendly, family-friendly.
Good girl. Come on. Let's go for a walk.
And front and center for Best Friends is Leedy Van Cavage, a lawyer, a lobbyist, and a lifelong pit bull lover.
Why do pit bulls need lobbying? Why do they need an organization? Why do they need a network fighting for them?
Well, I think they are the most misunderstood breed of dog there is, and they're just dogs. They're not werewolves, you know. So there's been so much hysteria involved with these dogs, and so much media hype. Actually, even though I don't like to use this term, it's one place where there probably is a lot of fake news. You know? So that's why, you know, a lot of times they can't speak for themselves. So we need to get the truth out there.
But could it be the hundreds of reports every year of pit bull attacks are all dead wrong? I read Van Cavage some headlines we found online in one randomly chosen month.
This was September 2016. Pit bull run rampant in New Mexico. Pit bull attacked man in Florida. 5-year-old girl attacked by pit bull, Palm Desert. Portage, Indiana residents concerned about pit bulls after an attack. A Lapine officer recovering after pit bull attack. A pit bull attack in Northern Carolina on UPS driver. Woman has been hospitalized after a pit bull attack in Oakland Hills. And on and on and on. And this is 1 month. Now, in your opinion, and I know you haven't seen each and every one of these cases, do you believe this is all fake news?
I believe some of it is media bias. I do. I think the hype has led people to have this perception of it. And again, I think a lot of it is because of media bias or fake news.
So I asked her about the tragic death of 14-month-old Daxton Borkhardt, the little boy who was ripped from the arms of his babysitter by her two supposedly family-friendly dogs. Was that fake news too?
It is very, very tragic, but most of the dog-related fatalities involve unsupervised children. I don't know what happened that day.
She was holding the child at the time.
You know, I can't, you know, I don't know if the child was crying. I don't know the history of the dogs.
But if the child was crying?
Well, you know, like,
What kind of dog would attack a child?
A dog that's unstable. And there are dogs of any breed that are unstable, just like there are people of any race that are unstable. And you
don't think that the pit bulls are more prone?
No, I do not.
Well, we wanted to go beyond the headlines to meet someone who's looked into thousands of attacks, case by case. Meet Dr. Michael Galinko. He's the director of plastic surgery at the Children's Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. He loves his dogs, but not all dogs.
In your professional opinion, do pit bulls and kids mix well?
No. I'd like to say they do. Like I said, I'm a dog lover, and I like to say that every dog gets along well, and they may mix well with adults or, you know, other breeds, but I think there's just too much of a risk from what I've seen to kind of advocate for that or kind of sanction that.
Dr. Galinko came to this conclusion after completing 2 large bite studies involving more than 500 children admitted to hospitals in Arkansas and some 1,600 in Atlanta. 46 different breeds were identified, but when it comes to the deepest, most damaging dog bites, the pit bulls were in a class of their own.
What makes the pit bull different is that it would bite and would keep on attacking, and again, as we said, in multiple anatomic locations, 2 to 3 times more likely. And any kid that went to the operating room, half the time, that was a pit bull, and the other half the time it was every other breed you can think of. So to me, that's an overwhelming preponderance of data saying something is going on here, and we can maybe intervene.
And this isn't your opinion?
No, this is the data.
Pit bull advocates dispute this. They point to analysis by the National Canine Research Council, which is run by a pro-pit bull foundation, that claims there's no reliable evidence that demonstrates a link between breed and fatal dog bites. They also claim pit bulls are routinely misidentified as the guilty party.
How were you able to identify whether these were in fact pit bulls that had attacked these victims?
That's a great question. It was pretty much because the majority of the biting dogs is either a family dog or a dog known to the family, meaning, mom's boyfriend or ex-husband brings over a dog or grandma brings over a dog. It's typically a dog that the child is familiar with in most situations. So everything go okay yesterday? Yeah?
It's taken 4 years and 21 operations to try to repair what a family pit bull did to Traylon Credit in just a matter of minutes.
You've been, to the hospital. You should get you like a frequent flyer card or something. I mean, 21 operations is a lot. It is. For a little kid who's not even 8 years old yet.
Today, Traylon sees for the first time what the dog left him looking like, with 50 lacerations to his face, his scalp ripped from his head.
That looked kind of scary.
It is scary, son.
Yeah.
Dr. Galenko has inserted an implant into the boy's scalp to stretch the skin, and after one more operation, replace the damaged tissue. After seeing firsthand the damage caused by these dogs, Dr. Galenko says the solution is simple. Ban them.
If you could prevent like one death or one tragic injury where I don't have to, take a kid's, skull apart in the operating room because of a terrible bite, then that'd be worth it.
Traylon's mom, LaQuisha Jones, says her son's childhood was ripped away from him. She agrees pit bulls should be banned.
I don't really like that breed because, especially around my kids after this incident. Before, I was very cautious about coming around them because they're so intimidating. And it's been too many incidents that I've heard even after my son that it doesn't make any sense. The statistics is enough to show that the dogs are just an aggressive breed and they should be banned.
The idea of banning pit bull type dogs remains controversial in Canada and the US. But consider this, 32 countries around the world have decided the issue. They either outright ban pit bull type dogs, ban their importation, or severely restrict their ownership. But in places where there are no restrictions, the pit bull population is exploding. We'll show you what some shelters are doing to get troubled dogs out of their kennels and into your homes.
You'll see them rename the dog several times. You'll see the same dog pop up on different websites with different names as time goes on because they're just trying to lose the paper trail.
There's always more to our stories. You can keep up with the Fifth Estate by subscribing to our weekly newsletter. We'll tell you what we're working on and share updates on past stories. Sign up on our website at cbc.ca/fifth.
In the deeply divisive debate over pit bulls, even a dog festival like this one in Toronto can get political. Ontario banned pit bull type dogs 12 years ago, which means any pit bulls here would have to be born before 2005 to be legal, and they need to be muzzled in public. Like this dog. The owner is obeying the law, but that doesn't mean she agrees with it.
I have a small daughter at home, and I've never had any doubt in my mind that this dog would do anything to attack her or hurt her. He's amazing.
These 4 breeds of dogs are considered pit bulls and have been banned, as well as pit bull mixes. Rule of thumb? Can I pet him? If it looks substantially like these dogs, in the eyes of the government, it's a pit bull. So does that mean this dog is illegal? Well, not if you ask its owner. Isn't this dog illegal in Ontario?
No. It's a mixed breed.
It's a mixed breed?
Sure.
Yeah, the pit bull are illegal.
The pit bull is illegal, but this isn't a pit bull.
No.
Some may disagree with you on that.
Possibly, but those people would be wrong.
So you don't have to have a muzzle on this dog, or
shouldn't have to have a muzzle on any dog.
Yeah.
People need to learn how to handle their dogs.
Right.
Should be a licensing for people who have dogs, not a licensing for the dog.
In 2005, when the ban was introduced, there were 112 recorded bites by pit bull type dogs in Toronto. Last year, only 15. But that hasn't won over any converts in this crowd. They oppose what's called breed-specific legislation, or BSL. Dog owners marched through the streets of Toronto and other Canadian cities this summer, calling the bans cruel, ineffective, and canine racism. An online petition is calling on Prime Minister Trudeau to adopt a federal law banning breed-specific dog bans. It's a successful strategy ripped straight from the playbook of the U.S. pit bull lobby.
This is Dog Breed Independence Day because
Leedy Van Cavage is the lead lawyer on a team of 5 attorneys working at Best Friends Animal Society. So far, they've convinced almost half the U.S. states to pass legislation prohibiting breed-specific bans.
So you've got 21 states and counting.
We're at 21 states and counting. Yeah, we're hoping to introduce a bill in Michigan this year. And, we're always looking for opportunities. So we think responsible pet owners should be allowed to own whatever breed of dog they choose. It's that simple.
Best Friends has wrapped the pit bull in red, white, and blue. This isn't just any dog. The pit bull has been branded America's dog, the underdog.
No dog should ever be euthanized for what they are. This is America's dog we're talking about, and unfortunately, America has lost track of that.
And go to many animal shelters in the U.S., like this one in St. Louis, and you can see the power and influence of Best Friends. Best Friends subsidizes shelters like this that have a no-kill policy. Don't put dogs down, put them up for adoption. Best Friends' motto? Save them all.
Today, 2 million cats and dogs are being killed in America's shelters every year. But by 2025, we will achieve no kill. How? With your help.
Here's this building right here is one that we've pulled dogs out of before.
But take a drive through the streets of St. Louis to get an idea about what happens when there are no restrictions on pit bulls. It's a veritable free-for-all.
In this alleyway, there were at one time probably 8 to 10 pit bulls being housed here. And now it looks like he's got additional dogs and puppies on the property, so I would imagine he's selling the puppies.
Donna Lockman is a pit bull lover who sees too many backyard breeders selling them as status dogs, guard dogs, or fighting dogs. She says many of these dogs will end up in the crowded shelter where she works.
One female can have a litter of puppies twice a year, and then any of those puppies that grow up on the street can have puppies. It's just astronomical how quickly it builds and builds.
Her shelter is bursting with unwanted or abused pit bulls. According to the American SPCA, pit bull type dogs are the most common dog found in shelters. Of the 150 dogs here, about 80% are pit bull type dogs. They're in the kennels, in playgroups outside in the yard, and in the shelter showroom to see if they're a good fit to be adopted by so-called forever families. From neglected junkyard dog to precious family pet.
And I like all dogs. Like, I'm not necessarily partial to one over the other, but historically, pit bulls are the best with kids. They just are.
Listen in as this family arrives to adopt a dog. The shelter offers them a pit bull and a sales pitch that would make a used car dealer blush.
Seriously, this is the first breed I'd ever sent home with 3, I'm guessing somewhat rambunctious at times, boys. Yeah. And we offer free training for the first year, too. So if you're worried about like handling a dog of this size or something like that, that's one of the first things we work with and teach with training is how, the leash manners and basic training. Get down, girl. Go, girl. Can you sit? Good puppy.
I think they're very, very good, loyal, and good with people. You can't generalize and say that pit bulls are not going to be good with people or kids.
Are you ever concerned that a dog that you have adopted out may bite or God forbid, maul somebody that's adopted it?
Not at all. No.
Brandy McNeely begs to differ. She worked as a vet tech and in shelters for 15 years. She took this shepherd pit bull mix home from a shelter as it recovered from heartworms.
When I brought him home, he was a great dog. He was very calm. He was actually kind of timid and scared. We did his heartworm treatment, and the minute he felt better, and you could tell that the heartworms are gone, dog became a different dog. So, and all of a sudden he hated all other dogs, and he started attacking my dogs, my mom's dogs, going after strangers' dogs. And in the end, I brought him back, and I said, I can't have him anywhere near any other dogs, and I've got a house full of dogs, and everyone I know has dogs.
Pit bull opponents say their data shows that in 2015 alone, pit bulls killed 37,000 cats and dogs. Brandy says when she first started working at the shelter, public safety was paramount. Aggressive dogs were never adopted out.
We had a very strict policy when we started. When you did a temperament test, if the dog did not pass the test, it was euthanized. And that was it.
But that's changed in the U.S. thanks to the no-kill movement. Now, she says, cast-off pit bulls are given cheerful new names and sanitized bios.
And we started fabricating stories, exaggerating abuse and things like that to try to sell them, basically. We started writing dog bios, and you want to focus on the good and use new words. Instead of saying dog aggressive, you say dog reactive, or dog selective, which means that he only attacks some dogs, not all. But they wanted you to play with these new words, so that way you could kind of give the information in a very deceiving way, and then pass it on to the public who thinks that, oh, I'm just getting a dog that sometimes doesn't like all dogs. So I'll just do slow introductions, when reality is that this dog wants to kill other dogs.
And that can end badly, like when family pet adoptions make local news.
And we begin with brand new details about a gruesome dog attack in Virginia Beach that killed a 90-year-old woman.
9 hours after this pit bull mix named Blue was adopted, he mauled an elderly woman. The family is suing the shelter for $5 million. The shelter says Blue showed no signs of aggression at the shelter. This pit bull named Emmett was shipped from a Louisiana shelter to one in Iowa. Emmett was listed as a boxer mix and a great dog with a great temperament. Hours after he was adopted, he mauled a 15-month-old boy. The boy's family is now suing the Iowa shelter, which denies any wrongdoing. Brandy McNeely says it's not unusual to ship dogs across state lines, and as they move, they can erase their past.
One of the big strategies, especially with problematic dogs, is that you'll see them move them around. Even in my area, they consistently move them around. Paper trails don't follow these dogs. People think if a dog bit, this piece of paper follows them wherever they go. It does not.
And is that why often the dogs are moved?
Yep, you ship them around, move them around, try to drop the paper trail. You'll see them rename the dog several times. You'll see the same dog pop up on different websites with different names as time goes on, because they're just trying to lose the paper trail.
Some dogs go from state to state, and every year hundreds end up in Canada, like these ones airlifted from California to Calgary. Canadian columnist Barbara Kay has written extensively about pit bulls. She says Canada should close its borders to these cast-off dogs.
The government of Alberta should be looking into this and saying, no, this is insane, this is crazy. Why are they coming here? Because there's such an overflow of them in California and all these places out west. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, really. You're bringing in problematic dogs that have problematic pasts that you don't know about.
The coordinator of the airlift, Jerry Hogg, admits these dogs have no paper trail, but he says they've all been assessed by their team.
What do you know about these dogs?
We don't know a whole lot about their history because they are all rescue dogs from down in the States that have been surrendered to the animal rescues down there.
Is that a concern for you though?
No, because we have all the dogs are assessed down in stateside prior to coming up here. We don't bring dogs that are sick. We don't bring dogs that have got major aggression issues and so on and so forth.
He says none of these death row dogs have been involved in any attacks in Canada.
Who's this? This is Molly.
And that's good enough for Chantal Campo and her 2 kids. They're opening their home to Molly. She doesn't see a risk, just a reward.
But what do you know about the history of this dog? Do you know?
You don't know any. So you just take it slow. You get it used to our environment, and doesn't matter if it's a pit bull, if it's a little dog, they can all bite, we don't know their background, so to always ask before you come up onto a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have 10 of them if I could.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it works out well for you, and especially for your kids.
Me too.
But it's a different story in Quebec, where the province is now proposing a pit bull ban, inciting the pit bull army on both sides of the border.
There's always more to our stories. You can stay connected with the Fifth Estate on Facebook. Get the latest on upcoming shows and special video features.
Mention the words pit bull and the fight is on. Canadians as deeply passionate about these dogs as Americans, even though we have far fewer pit bull type dogs than the US and far fewer attacks. Though that's cold comfort for those who have been mauled by the dogs, and there are plenty of cases from coast to coast, like 4-year-old Emily Cranford of White Rock, BC.
He bit me.
Her parents said the solution was simple.
We would like to see pit bulls banned, and I'm very serious. That is what I would like to see.
Canada has a patchwork of laws and regulations governing pit bulls. They're permitted in plenty of cities and towns across the country. The only province-wide ban is in Ontario, but Quebec may be next. It took the high-profile death of this woman last summer to spark calls for a ban. 55-year-old Christiane Vadnet was alone in her backyard in Montreal when she was attacked and killed by her neighbor's pit bull, aptly named Lucifer. Vadnet's daughter, Emily, has never spoken publicly about her mother's death until now.
Even a year after, it may seem long for a couple of people, but for us, family, we're still in total shock. We're still reliving every moment. We have a hard time talking about it together. It's upsetting.
Pitbull supporters were unleashed when both Montreal and Quebec City proposed bans, both inspired by Vadnet's death.
Let's make some noise!
Now the Quebec government is debating a province-wide ban like the one in Ontario. Pitbull supporters in the U.S. have joined the debate. Singer Cyndi Lauper took to Facebook posting, "Such a sad day, Montreal. When will people stop blaming a breed?" Even the dog whisperer himself sent a special video message to the people of Montreal.
I think that when people learn to dislike the breed, they hear stories about aggressive pit bulls, or a pit bull did this and a pit bull did that, but they never really actually dig into the story and understand why the pit bull became aggressive in the first place, which leads humankind to very ignorant and to live in fear, which is not
And from fear to fury, Montreal city councillors were bombarded in a blitzkrieg of emails from angry pit bull supporters, most of them sent from the U.S. They called the pit bull ban a form of terrorism, denouncing the councillors as monsters and murderers. Christiane Vadnet's daughter Emily felt protesters were more concerned with the fate of their dogs than the life of her mother.
For them, it's maybe just one person who died. For me, it's my whole world, and it definitely opened my eyes to every other victims, and I read a lot. We obviously don't have a voice as loud as they do, but we're definitely there and we're hurt. And all that we want is safety to be #1 priority, human safety.
But when it comes to safety, Leedy Van Cavage, the pit bull lobbyist who successfully fought back against pit bull bans in more than 20 American states, insists Canada is on the wrong track.
It is panic policy making, and I think that a lot of politicians are trying to gain capital by fear-based policies. By focusing on a certain breed or vilifying a certain breed, I think that might increase their political capital, whereas they're not looking at the issue from what is good policy. So we're seeing other places, realize it doesn't work and getting rid of it, and we see Canada going towards it, which kind of makes no sense to me at all.
And so the battle is brought to our doorstep. Canadian politicians feeling the heat from the U.S. pit bull lobby. Brandy McNeely, the former shelter worker and pit bull whistleblower, says politicians must stand their ground.
It's always a bad idea to have animal groups make laws about public safety. Public safety groups really need to do that. But for some reason, every time they want somebody to talk about animal laws, they call in animal groups. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Dr. Michael Galinko, the plastic surgeon in Arkansas who's treated so many children mauled by pit bulls, says the issue isn't about the personal freedoms of dog owners, it's about public safety and life and death.
Would I miss the pit bulls, or would people really miss the pit bulls if they were banned? Maybe for a little bit, but probably not. You know, there was a time in America where nobody was wearing seatbelts, and then you made everybody wear a seatbelt. And for a little while, there was a little bit of pushback, but at the end of the day, you have way less fatalities because of airbags, because of seatbelts, and I think it's the same thing. You know, it's a child safety issue, and I'd much rather be on that side of the argument, advocating for a child's safety, than for the individual right to own a pretty dangerous animal.
Jeff Borkart, whose son Daxton was killed by pit bulls, now runs an advocacy group pushing for more pit bull bans. But he says it's a lonely battle.
If this is a fight, the victims versus the pit bull advocates, who's winning the fight?
Well, the pit bull advocates are definitely winning. I mean, you just look at some of these laws that are being overturned and stopped. You know, we don't have that kind of voice. The victims don't. We don't have the kind of resources. We don't have that kind of money. So I would say they're winning.
As for the woman who owned the pit bulls that killed Borkart's son, Susan Owicki says she won't be silenced by the powerful pit bull lobby, not as long as more children continue to be killed by their family pet.
I blame myself for not knowing the danger. But those pit bulls do not belong around anyone. They just don't. Yeah, not all of them are gonna attack, fine. But as soon as you can tell me which one is going to attack and which one isn't going to attack, that's when I'll listen to you.